I stayed up until like 2 a.m. going through this subreddit. I was honestly too scared to sleep. I read some really creepy shit that kept me up all night. After some time, I fell asleep, curled up in a ball in the corner of the bed that's in the corner of my room. I put my phone on the opposite side of the room because I wanted to stay far away from the horrors I had read. So I fell asleep and I wake up at 5:30 on the dot. I'm trying to figure out why I woke up. It's my little sister shaking me awake. I ask her what she wants, and she tells me to turn off my music. I look around for a second, still very sleepy, and I see my phone is on my nightstand, on and playing music. It wasn't using Google Play Music. It was using an app that I can only guess came with my phone. The sound it was playing was called Wake Up, but it had a capital W and a capital P. What odd letters. The sound, as I listened closer, was a collage of classic wood sounds you would hear in a video game, where the crickets don't shut the hell up and you always hear a distant water sound. But then, in the background, there was painful wailing and moaning sounds and the occasional shriek of fear. This woke me up quickly. I asked my sister what she was hearing and all she said was, death. After she said that, it was a battle in my head as to how she meant it. Death as in dying or death as in Death the Grim Reaper? All day long, I was stuck with that haunting sound. I asked my sister what she heard last night, and she said, I didn't hear anything. So I asked her if she remembered asking me to turn off my music. She said no. I had to think back to 5:30 in the morning, and I see it with more clarity the harder I focus, and before I can get a glimpse of my sister or anything else, my mother starts shaking me furiously, trying to get my attention. I yell, what? And then immediately apologize. She said my nose was bleeding. It's been 3 years since I've had a nosebleed. The night of the 5:30 experience, I didn't touch my phone. I went straight to bed. The thing is, I wish I hadn't. I had a nightmare unlike anything ever. I was in a hellscape. There were dead, burning bodies everywhere, and in the distance there was a gate made entirely of bones. That alone isn't too scary until you get a closer look. The bones had meat still on them in places. I could only assume the worst with what my surroundings were. Suddenly, I feel something touch my shoulder. I turn to see what it is, and it's a man. It's a man wearing a nice suit with a blood red tie. He had short hair, nice pearly whites, and deep dark brown eyes. At least that's what I thought. I looked closer and realized his eyes were black silhouettes. They were soulless, and his teeth were sharp and pointed. I let out a little shriek and then the man spoke. You know who I am, but don't recognize me, and I know who you are. We all do. I looked around after he said that, and all the dead bodies were gone. He spoke again. I'll make you a deal, and you get to see tomorrow. I started to breathe heavily, very heavily. I asked him of his terms, and all he replied with was, to join me. He stuck out his hand and I stuck out mine, and shook his hand. It burnt when I made contact with him, but he held tight, making sure the deal wasn't to break. When he released my hand, I woke up. I didn't wake up in my room. I woke up in a hospital bed getting wheeled down a long corridor. My parents were right beside me. That part made me feel better, so I fell back asleep. I woke up later and I asked my parents why I'm in the hospital. They said I had a seizure and fell off my bed and hit my head on the frame. I looked around my hospital room and saw some family and a friend of mine. There was another person too, the man from my nightmare. When I made eye contact with him, all he did was smile and disappear. After those days, I've never gone back to our no sleep until today so I can share this experience with you all. I honestly don't think it was the subreddit no sleep that did this, but it happened after me spending a night scrolling through people's creepy stories. I feel better, and I've put that experience behind me, but Wake Up is on my phone, and I've gone through 3 since this all happened.